getting lifted. Fire truck. 어디 보면 Mr. Firm in the flow 부르지겨봐 열기를 식혀줄게 불만이 가득 잠궈도 화끈하게 저 siren 소리에 느끼는 내 기분은
말썽 빼는 척은 곤란 Hey 미지근한 분위기는 no thanks 흔들리는 내 달궈진 backseat 태운 뒤 빈틈없이 we get lit
Hands up if you feeling the vibe now One step, two steps
오늘 밤 너와 나 모두 다 빠져들게 언제든 달려가 소방차 You can call me
몸을 움직여 Pick it up 리듬 느끼는 대로 흔들어
뜨거워지는 순간 그게 소리쳐
Fire truck Yeah, beating it everywhere 부르기만 하면 돼 Look it out 그냥 불장난 같아 Blink 나만 나타나 Just blink for me 시원하게 네 화를 불어줄 테니 Just hold up 작품을 밀면 다치 get higher 열기 마치 로켓처럼 뜨거워 이거 가는 폭발하기 10초 전 Hands up if you're feeling the vibe now One step, two steps
짜릿한 네 음악 네만 봐 불태우지 외쳐봐 소방차 어디든 달려가지
Maximum으로 turn it up 리듬에 맞춰 흔들어
전율 느끼는 순간 그게 소리쳐
Fire truck Fire truck Fire truck
멈추지 마 밤이 새도록
Maximum으로 turn it up
Alright 이 음악 속에 모든 걸 던져
소방차 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 소방차
Hey,
Hi.
welcome into book club.
Not our normal music.
Huh?
It's not our normal music.
It's not.
I'm not a fan of that song.
Do I need to play the other one for you?
No, it's okay. I'll be all right.
Okay. How about if I will that make you happy?
Just-
There you go. That's what Steve gets down to.
Okay.
Okay. There you go. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Tuesday night. We're about to the hump day part of the week. Almost. So, welcome in. Hope everybody's had a good day. I've been dealing with a headache.
Sorry.
So, but I felt like hanging out and trying to read some books. So here we are.
I got something to open later.
You do?
I do after.
After book club?
We're going to hope that it's not, that's still okay because it's a little bent. But we'll see.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Sometimes a little bent's not bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
A little curvature.
Welcome in. Let's welcome in the chat. Now that we've given people time to come in and say hello. Welcome in. Oh, here, wait. We're starting out with this. Now I have to go all the way down here. Jeff Condon, thanks for keeping me company at work. Thank you, Jeff. You don't have to do that, buddy, but glad to do it. Hope you have a good evening. And
He could have waited till after we were to read names because now you're going to be all over the place.
Now I got to go back up to the top of the chat. Here we go.
And you got to pull out your second chat. No.
Already got that over here. Welcome in, Nicole. Happy Aunt Stacy Rogers, Mari Memphis, Jan S. Disney, dear Debbie Burnfeld. Hello, hello. Robert Dixon, good to see you. Theo Sam Eagle, good evening. That's a creepy wave. Mari Memphis, Debbie Thunert, good to see you. Paul Engel, good evening, sir. Howdy, howdy. Jeff Condon, as I mentioned, welcome in, Jeff, and thank you again, sir. Samantha Lowe, hey Sam, good evening. Let's scroll on down. We got Debbie Thunert. We got there she is. The lovely, the beautiful, the talented, the wonderful, the sweet, the kind, the effervescent. My Snickerdoodle, the Eve to my Wally, the Sally to my Jack Skellington, the Rogue to my Gambit, the Jenny to my Harry, Angela Mentor. Hello, dear.
Hi, Angela.
Welcome in. Sparkly Pink Diamonds, Angie's here. Mike 88 NYC, good evening. Welcome in. Jeanette Sebastian the Crab, hello. Two N's, one Y, but it's not where you think. Jason Thibodeau, welcome in. Good to see you. T. Marie's Place. Hello, Teener. Nick D'Ambrosio, good evening. Welcome. We're going to jump over to the other chat now. Jay Nashville, welcome in. Nico the Greco, howdy, good evening. And Bill Steffen, welcome in from Kentucky. Good to see you. And I think we got everybody, Steve.
I still don't understand the point of two chats, especially when you only read three names off of a second chat. Is that just a thing you say to buy time?
It just lets me transition to the other one to get to the bottom of the chat in case anybody new.
Where do you have a second? Where do you have a second chat pulled up at? And
so I have the StreamYard chat here, and then I have the YouTube chat over here.
Okay.
Mary Kehoe, welcome in, Mary. See,
Hello,
I saw
Mary.
her on the new chat, not on the StreamYard chat.
Okay.
I have a third monitor. I could put a third chat over there, but I don't see
No reason for that.
I don't see a reason for the redundancy there.
I don't see a reason that doesn't see the second chat either. Don't see a reason for that.
Yeah, see, I don't have time. Don't have time to write down the names like some people do.
I just read them straight through there. Every Monday when I stream, I do it with my finger like this. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Well, see, these aren't touch sensitive, so I can't go ding, ding,
Oh,
ding.
is that what it is?
That's what it is.
My StreamYard chat is usually on point. I usually see it here before I see it on YouTube. That's the only chat I use is StreamYard chat. But
Here this.
it may have to do with your internet too. I don't know. We had a pretty good internet.
I'm confusing Debbie too, apparently. StreamYard chat is annoying and delayed. See?
I disagree.
That's what it is.
I think it has to do with your internet, not necessarily StreamYard. Like I said, we have like gigabit internet or whatever it is, whatever that fast one is here. And I usually see them here before they pop up on the other.
See, Elvis had 3 TV monitors in his basement. Chris could do. Actually, Mar, if you really want to get technical, I've got 3, 4, 5, 6 counting that thing back there. But
yeah.
We're not going to get technical. Anyway. Good evening, everybody. Welcome in. We're starting book club tonight with the interlude.
Yep.
There are many interludes in this book.
Recap. We think we know what's going to happen now.
We think we know what's going to happen.
Just shut off.
Don't get me started on other streams right now. I always have both up, Chris. My internet is fine. I have 2 monitors and the laptop. See? Jeanette knows how to do it. So, last week, Aurora was still trying to find out about the feather.
Mm-hmm.
She went out with her friend, helper, to find the friend, to help find the boy, the stable boy, because he might know about birds or where the feather came from, because he knows about animals. And then, so we got more of a description of life outside the castle, but still within this thorny dome thing. And then she snuck back in to get back inside the castle through the area of the dungeons where her parents are kept. And she came upon Maleficent having a conversation with her parents. It sounded very odd. The book is Once Upon a Dream, a Twisted Tales Disney book, Jane Asheville. And then they had another ball or another dance or whatever you want to call it. And something strange happened there. One of her, was it her aunt or was it one of the royal women? That she wanted to talk to about the feather, got taken away by two of the guards. And so Aurora went to follow to see where they were taking her to. And that is where our story went sideways. Tina, $10 just because. Tina, I'm going to call you after the stream. Don't do that. Thank you, but don't do that. You don't have to do that. So she snuck. You didn't do it. Yeah, you did do it. She snuck and followed, and she saw that the woman was being suspended upside down and was being gagged.
Sort of
oh, wait, like that. Yeah, just like that. Good grief, y'all aren't going to let me get through the... I can do it.
I can't be here all night. I got to get up at 3 a.m. Just saying.
Thank you, Jennifer. I can fuss at you on Instagram, though. I can't call you, but yeah. Thank you. So, and now Debbie.
We'll see you at book club next week, people.
Debbie, stop it. So, she was, I'm forgetting where I was at. So she was being kept upside down. She was being interrogated by Maleficent and the guards. So pantyhose in his way.
I got to get up at 3 a.m. So I should be in bed in about 2 hours. We got to get through
she was upside down. Maleficent was reciting some kind of spell, and then she stabbed and killed the woman. Took some of the blood into the orb in her staff. Did some sort of chant. Jeff Condon.
It's not the fact that you guys are doing it. It's the fact that it distracts him so much.
It really does. Y'all stop it. Thank you. Y'all stop now. And then she did some sort of spell with the blood in the orb, and it made her look a little younger, but not as much as she hoped. And then Aurora's friend came up the stairs calling to Maleficent. And Aurora noticed that her friend didn't have normal feet. She had like hooves. So she's like one of the monsters or whatever. And then Aurora started realizing... No, Aurora saw through, there was like a portal or something. Tina, there was a portal. Thank you, Tina. Stop. She saw through this portal, and she saw herself asleep in the bed, and yet she knew it was herself, but in another place. And so she started realizing that she was not in the real world, or she was in a dream or something. And she tried to escape, and she ran out, and Maleficent called all the guards to get her. And she climbed up, and she was trying to climb down all the vines to get outside of the castle. Jane Nashville. Y'all are, stop it. So she tried to, she was trying to get outside the castle, and the thorns, they were like calling to her and telling her to go back in, and they were stabbing her. And
exactly, Mar.
And what did Mar say? Even more confused than. And so she got outside of the castle, and I think that's where we ended.
We saw the fairies; they came in to play.
Oh yeah,
and there's only a couple hours left, and it's permanent sleep. So, go.
Okay, so that's where we are, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I have.
Okay. So now we're going to read the interlude.
Interlude.
One of many interludes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A castle lay asleep. A kingdom lay asleep. The people, horse, mice, and even fountains and gnats lay asleep. A hush lay over everything, and all seemed sweet and peaceful at first. Beautiful, ancient-looking brambles protected the sleepers within, and occasionally bloomed pink, honey-scented roses. There were only two groups of things that didn't sleep. One was the dead. The other was a trio of concerned-looking fairies who flitted around the castle and watched over the sleepers, especially the royal princess. Aurora lay perfectly, beautifully, hands clasped below her ribs like she was in constant prayer. Her lips were parted, her eyes rolled. Something was happening in what was supposed to be a dreamless, swift sleep. Collapsed in an ungainly heap on the floor next to her was Prince Philip, the one who was supposed to wake her up and in the whole thing. Justin Thibodeau, thank you. Instead, the silly boy had fallen asleep himself. The first hint the fairies had that something was terribly amiss. And then the people had started dying. Ooh, that wasn't in the movie. Flora, the fairy witch watching over Aurora, had a worried, weary hand to her head. Her strange, flowing vestments of red drifted sadly around her like mist rather than cloth. Her face appeared mostly human, except up close. There was a strange serenity behind her all normal seeming emotions. Her companions, a plump little pixie in blue and a hamadryad,
Close enough.
okay, in green, floated in from their rounds. All's quiet, Merryweather, the one in blue said. I mean, they're all still asleep, so of course they're quiet. She's doing it again, Flora pointed at Aurora's face. For a split second, the beautiful princess's features twisted in agony or upset. They recomposed themselves almost immediately. Fauna, the one in green, moaned in despair. I cannot believe this is happening. We were supposed to save the princess and everyone, not just hand them over to Maleficent. We're sure they're all in there? Sadly, yes. How did she ever plan all of this? Merryweather demanded. I don't think she planned it, Flora said, sighing. I think she was just taking advantage of the situation. I think she always had sort of a backup plan in case she was ever killed. If I'm ever killed, I want you two to resurrect me, Meriwether said in a humph. If she actually had friends, she could have done the same. Be kind, Fauna admonished her, swishing back and forth in the air. If she actually had friends, maybe she wouldn't have turned out so nasty and evil. And besides, she added reluctantly, if she actually had friends, we'd be in worse trouble now. Worse? How could it be worse? We can't wake up anyone here. Not with a spell, not with a foxglove, not with holy water. We haven't ruled out everything, Fauna snapped. We haven't tried everything. True. Have you tried kissing anyone yet? Meriwether asked archly. Fauna gave her a withering look. A horrible, piercing cry rang out through the castle. Oh no, not another one, Fauna cried in alarm. Immediately, the three fairies shrank into red, blue, and green balls of light and went whisking through the air. All will-o'-the-wisps on a mission. They streaked through the bailey, the courtyard, the bedrooms, and the chapel until they found the source of the scream. Lady Astrid, asleep at her needlework, her face a mask of horror and fear. That was who was killed in the dream world.
Yep.
The three balls quickly resolved into human-sized figures who gathered her up in their arms. Fauna kept the woman's head upright. Meriwether grabbed a cloak and crumpled it up and tried to prevent what would come next. Fauna regarded the dreamer with a critical eye. All seemed fine at first, and then thick dark blood began to soak the lady's gown over where her heart was. Meriwether immediately pushed the cloak onto the wound, pressing it down with her hands as hard as she could. Fauna closed her eyes and invoked the healing power of the woods, an ancient, usually infallible incantation. Flora drew symbols in the air with her naked ring finger, trailing gold behind it in strange three-dimensional rune. It was no use. Lady Astrid screamed and screamed and screamed. She was somehow aware, despite the strange half-life she lived between dream and sleep, that her death was coming and that it was unavoidable. Her cries were of pain and fear and anger and horror and everything terrible the fairies had never felt themselves in human quantities. The blood came faster until it was gushing through the cloth like a fountain, heaving with each pump of the heart. And then the heart stopped. The silence of the sleeping castle was complete and utter once more. Meriwether dropped the bloody rags in sadness that disguised itself as disgust. Silver tears formed in Fauna's eyes as she stroked the dead woman's hair back up under her wimple. Fauna clenched her fists in frustration. Damn that Maleficent, she swore, using the worst human phrase she could think of. She's worse than we ever could have imagined. She's a murdering, life-draining soul leech. And why these two? Meriwether asked philosophically. This one seems harmless, and really that peasant was quite literally a nobody. Nice man, but a strange choice. Well, Fauna said softly, both are equally dead now, noble or not, and Maleficent has brought herself another hour. Only two more before her hold over Rose becomes complete, Meriwether added. I mean, Aurora. We have to try again, Flora insisted. I felt like we actually did something that time, that we reached her a little. It's all we can do, Fauna agreed. So let's try it again. The three fairies held hands and closed their eyes, preparing to dream a fairy dream. Next chapter. The inevitable forest primeval. She pushed her way through the tunnel of vines with calm deliberateness beyond the dangers of the castle now. She couldn't even hear shouts from above or the commotion in the courtyard. There would be no lifting of the portcullis anytime soon, and Maleficent couldn't aim her spells at the princess if she couldn't even see her. There might be new dangers ahead, but the old familiar ones were receding like shadows. The plants around her were twisted and enormous, solid and unmoving. They didn't seek to bar her way further. She dragged her hands along them, feeling the leaves crumble away under her fingertips like they were ancient, long dead, long dry and dead. She paused, suddenly remembering. She looked around and called out tentatively, Minstrel? Master Tommins? Exile? Hello? No response. She looked at the dusty ground as she walked. If there were any human footprints in the lifeless soil, they were old and long lost among the strange traceries that time and wind had made. There was no sign that anyone had ever been outside besides her. She shivered. The drunken, narrow face of the old minstrel would have been a comfort. Even some sign of exile would have been reassuring. That he had managed to live, to survive on the outside for all these years. The shadowed world of the enormous plants eventually ended in an archway that revealed nothing but the golden inferno of light she had glimpsed before. There was no hint of what lay beyond. She shielded her eyes and stepped out. She didn't breathe for the first moment, afraid of what she would smell, afraid of what poisons she would suck in. She felt heat on her skin and admired the redness of the light through the cracks where her fingers met one another. Slowly, she removed her hand. She thought she was hallucinating again. The air was mostly still, and the light, yes, golden, but soft now that she had grown used to it. The inferno was nothing but strong afternoon sunlight. Little motes floated in the air, larger and fluffier than the dust that haunted her bedroom. She held out her finger and one landed on it, a fluffy sea pod, its milky white strands anchored to a beautiful brown teardrop. She let it go. The princess stood in what looked like a small grassy meadow on the outskirts of a forest. A proper one, not a barrier of magicked plants. Trees with light gray trunks and insanely bright green leaves dotted the edges shyly. Shyly. A mild invitation to the dark woods beyond. Before the trees, dark green and amber grass grew in large clumps. Tiny light blue flowers with pale, eggy centers burst forth with sprightly enthusiasm. A breeze made wickery noises in the tree leaves and older grasses. Aurora knelt down and put her hands on the ground. She closed her eyes again, feeling the sun-warmed dirt. She took a deep breath, inhaling the scents of grass and ground and mud and water. It wafted from somewhere, moist and metallic and full. She had no idea you could actually smell water. She had a silly but heartfelt vow to never, ever live inside again. She opened her eyes, and it was all still there. It had been, she realized after a moment, always still there. While the thorns, the eternal dusk of the castle, the always being cooped up with the same people, the eating of pigeons, the hiding of cats and dogs, none of that was necessary. Outside was an entire world with trees and flowers and rivers and other people. And what was it all for? Why did Maleficent keep them all imprisoned? What had happened? If her parents hadn't destroyed everything, how did they all live in the strange dream world, not realizing the truth? A strange quirk from above startled her. Slowly, calmly making its way across the open blue sky was a raven, its large wings pushing aside the air like it was a god. No thought at all to the royal princess below it or the castle of insanity just beyond. Birds were real, beyond pigeons and parakeets, probably even bluebirds. She stood up and stumbled toward the trees, overcome with with a desire to touch the bark. But as she stepped over a clump of grass, the meadow began to swim in front of her eyes, and her perspective shifted. As her fingers brushed the wood's surface, the inside of her head broke open. It was familiar. She didn't know this meadow exactly, but she was familiar with the concept, the types of plants, the raven, which she knew was too big to be a crow, the trees, the way the trees circled meant there was probably a bog or a stream in the middle where the land dipped. She knew that. She knew that beyond these leafy trees would be gnarled, thicker trees with dark green leaves, and beyond them, pines. And under their heavy boughs, there lay a friendly darkness so complete it put the vines over the castle Bailey to shame. She fell. She felt the soft yet hard ground beneath her, comfortingly supporting her as the sky and the world whirled. It kept her from flying off. There was another meadow, warm and sweet smelling like this one, but much larger. Or was she just smaller? Tiny legs thumping the ground, tiny naked legs. She was warmed by the sun, tickling her skin, and always 2 steps beyond the large, languorous butterfly. It flapped its oversized wings like a joke, and the tiny girl giggled, chasing it but not really wanting to catch it because that would end badly. The world was safe and wonderful and soft and warm and at home. At home, there was a cake, a bright pink and blue cake, lopsided, covered with mounds of frosting. She clapped fat little hands and laughed, then sank her entire face into it. Monorail Molly. Thank you, Molly. Uh, 3 pleased and happy faces above her, smiling and serene and relieved. Wait, she tried to sit up. They looked like they were the 3 ball of light fairies who had visited her in the bedroom. But they weren't fairies. They were her aunts who had adopted her when her parents died. They raised her in the forest, and no, her aunt was Maleficent, who had adopted her when she defeated Aurora's parents, who had destroyed the world. She doubled over, the conflicting images in her head flickering too quickly. Her stomach began to roll. An older girl now, pretending to be a princess. Pretending, but she was a princess. Her 3 aunts had fashioned a costume for her, a gown of found feathers and flower petals and large green leaves. It was cinched at the waist with a girdle of plaited river reeds and decorated with an incongruous, sparkly blue stone that the aunts had found somewhere. A matching reed tiara rested on her shaggy, half-braided hair. When she twirled, feathers and leaves spun out, and she was the queen of the forest. No, the only queen was Maleficent, and she was the real queen, and everyone lived in the castle, in a proper bedroom with a fancy bed. Stop, she moaned, rocking back and forth, but the memories kept coming. Lying on the forest floor for hours, watching the light change as it moved along the mossy ground, like the snails she often played with. Its slow, miraculous journey over a sprouted mutt, the magic of the sun causing its first leaves to unfurl toward the sky, the light moving on, sleeping some, not feeling like picking berries, wanting something new, something exciting, beyond seeing what was under the heavy rocks by the creek. Twirling through the shadow and light across grass and carpets of pine needles, happy but feeling like things hadn't started yet, wondering when they would. Her three aunts arguing when they thought she was asleep, sweet voices and sometimes sharp, things she couldn't understand, sentences that began one way and didn't make sense by their end, no matter how hard she concentrated. Utter confusion when she got her moon blood. The memories slowly wound down. The searing pain behind her eyes dimmed. She rubbed her temples and noticed distractedly that she was curled up in a fetal position so tightly that her legs ached. She cautiously stretched them out, the fear of a muscle cramp momentarily overriding the mess in her head. She eased herself into a sitting position, the movement grinding dirt and twigs and mushrooms into her beautiful blue ball gown. Where were you raised? A barn? Liana had once asked in disgust, having found the princess in one of her moods, curled up on the ground in the corner of a room, among the dust balls and far too close to the chamber pot. No, I was raised in the forest, she now said aloud, giggling a little. And her aunts were fairies, living like feral peasants, dressed in shabby but cheerful shifts and aprons. They had been uncomfortable in human clothes, Aurora could see in hindsight, presenting her with food and strange habits and love. They tried so hard, and sometimes they failed, but the love was constant and would last well beyond the end of her own short life. She thought about the funny, badly made costume gown. Why didn't they just use their magic the way her Aunt Maleficent did? Not her aunt. Not a princess, not a child in a castle, not Aurora. Rose, Briar Rose. She was named after a flower that was thorny and green and strong and beautiful, with moments of unbelievable softness in white and pink. 16 years as Briar Rose, living with three crazy aunts in the middle of the forest. Not a princess, just a girl. The girl grown now, years older now. How had that happened? The girl at the edge of the meadow sat up. She couldn't think here. She had to start moving. She would go mad if she stayed still. She staggered into the forest, but was careful not to touch any of the trees. 16 years of alternate memories of life in the forest. 16 years in the dark corners of a castle, running around like a bedraggled mouse while the world crumbled around her. Several years beyond that with Maleficent, that's where they came from. But was this the forest where she grew up? It didn't feel exactly right, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. The last thing she had seen in the castle came back to her, the image of her own body in that bright, of her own body in that bright other world beyond the orb of Maleficent's staff. What had the queen said? I give thee blood for one who sleeps, my dead body, but my spirit keeps, alive in her thoughts and dreams, though to her this world seems as real as the waking one. So, this was all a dream? Even the forest she was in now, Unless she was just hallucinating in the last gasps of a fever, or her body was actually somewhere asleep, dying in the poisoned wastelands of the outside. Aurora rose, grabbed the roots of her hair, feeling like she was going mad with indecision and panic. She spread her hand before her and looked at the tiny freckle on her finger, the one that matched her sleeping form. She felt a breeze on her fingertips. "This is all I have," she said aloud. She needed to hear it with her own ears, outside the voices in her head. "What I know by touch and smell and sight is all I know. Let's say this is real now. Let's start with that." She put her hand out to tentatively touch a tree as she passed. No painful opposite memories flooded her this time, just the comforting recollection of tree itself. Her skin remembered the pine's rough bark better than her mind, and appreciated the sticky sap even when she first recoiled at its touch. By reflex, her psyche tried to grab at the snippets of dark memories that were starting to shrink now, like the skins of discarded fruit. But Maleficent, that great woman who had swept in as a savior, who had kept her parents from handing her over to, wait, that wasn't real, was it? Well, she would work that out in her head in a while. Maleficent had swept in, magnificent and regal and commanding, and put a protective arm around the scared and neglected princess. And in the years since, how Aurora had waited and prayed for and then treasured the moments when her aunt dropped the drama and graced her with a genuine smile of fondness. How she did everything to impress the beautiful royal and commanding lady. How Maleficent filled her waking thoughts with awe and gratitude when the princess wasn't mired in restlessness and its twin languor. Aurora had loved her with all of her innocent heart and soul. She saw with a ripping in the very essence of her being Maleficent standing at the balcony and ordering her capture. The words of the queen had spoken hadn't matched her face. She had talked of clemency for a deranged princess, but her lips had been peeled back in a grimace and her eyes had been filled with hate. There had never been any affection there. It had all been a ruse. Aurora Rose felt the tears spill out soundlessly and endlessly. The worst part was that would have forgiven Maleficent everything, even if she had even what she had done to Lady Astrid, if only the queen had lied about it. If she had taken Aurora into her arms and said, "Shh, it's all over. I do love you." Even if Aurora didn't believe her aunt entirely, she would have forgiven her and forgotten it. "I am so pathetic," she shrieked, letting out a terrible, climbing, hysterically inhuman cry, overwhelm her tears and take over her whole shaking body. It felt good, but it didn't get her anywhere. When she opened her eyes, she was surprised to see a little bird before her, sitting on a branch and giving her a skeptical look. Aurora Rose had a urge to look around to see if anyone else had noticed. The bird stretched out and gave a single impatient cheep. Puffing its chest in the sunlight, it revealed a coat of feathers that were the purest sky blue imaginable. The princess gasped. She went to find the feather the minstrel had given her to see if it would match, but her chantilly was gone, along with the cards and the feather and everything else. It must have been torn from her in the escape. Muscle memory prompted her, without thinking, to start petting the rest of her ripped dress. Did she have anything in her pockets for the little bird? It cheeped at her impatiently. Sorry, she said with a weak smile and a shrug. Not myself today. She knew this bird had a name. It wasn't Bluebird. When, as a child, she asked her aunts what kind of bird it was, Fauna had dismissed her question as irrelevant. Aurora Rose couldn't have pronounced what the birds called themselves to distinguish them from other types of birds, and little Bluebird was just a meaningful as anything else was just as meaningful as anything else. But of course, birds were individuals, and it was rude to address one by the name of its whole race. The bird seemed to do the bird equivalent of rolling its eyes and set about preening itself, as if it had never really been interested in a handout anyway. Aurora Rose smiled. Leave it to a bird to make the situation all about him. She rubbed her face in exhaustion, smearing it with pine pitch in the process and not caring. Everything was insane. At the base of the closest tree was a clump of wild mint. She broke off a stalk and chewed it, beginning to walk again. The world was beautiful. There was an ancient old oak tree heralding a shift in the forest. At its roots, underground, would be the mushrooms the wild pigs liked. Hey, if wild pigs are still around, are unicorns too? She closed one eye, trying to remember if she had ever seen one as a child. She had seen a magnificent white stag once with golden antlers, but nothing with one horn. The world outside was just as amazing as she had always wished in the Thorn Castle. She could live in the forest and meadow happily until the thoughts inside her head sorted themselves out.
Enter the prince. Of course, as with everything in her complicated, unreal existence, that was not the way things played out. She was wandering around the twisty bend of a game trail, humming a little half-remembered song to herself, when she came upon a scene out of a tapestry. A deer, a doe she knew, not just from its lack of antlers, but also the shape of its face and the size of its flanks. Beautiful and large and slim, and as elegant as its tiny toes as any made-up fairy tale creature. Standing some distance away from it was the most breathtakingly handsome man Aurora Rose had ever seen. Not that she had seen that many, of course, in either of her childhoods. He was as magnificent as the deer, tall, well-muscled, sleek, and healthy. He tossed his head of thick... This sounds like a wrong kind of novel to be reading tonight. He tossed his head of thick, shining brown hair like an animal's mane. His face looked like it had been carved by an ancient sculptor whose skill had never been surpassed. Strong nose, strong chin, high cheekbones, whose apples were still a little soft and pink with youth. Long eyelashes, sparkling brown eyes. He was reaching out to the deer with one upturned hand. Suddenly, she noticed a shining steel sword on his hip. Its grip is easy and in easy reach. Its blade, no doubt, deadly sharp. He was going to kill the deer. He was hunting it. No! Aurora ran forward, throwing herself at the handsome, awful man. She had rediscovered a world of beauty and nature and life and animals, and not 10 minutes later, here was someone all too ready to destroy it. Stop it! Stop! She screamed. The man looked up alarmed. The deer cocked its head and bounded off. The man blinked and his face broke into a happy grin. It's you, he cried. Just as she was about to pummel him with her fist, he put his arms out and wrapped her in a gigantic hug. What? She pushed at his arms desperately with a growing panic. Let go of me. Go away. I can't believe it's you, the man said again, heedless of her actions. He closed his eyes and squeezed her like a bear. She stopped fighting for a moment, suddenly wondering how she knew what a bear squeeze felt like. Who are you? She finally demanded, getting a hold of herself. With one hand free, she managed to lean back and slap him across the face. She wasn't sure who was more surprised, him or her. She had never done anything like that her entire life. She had never hit anyone in any memory. The man put her down and looked less hurt than confused, like a boy whose toy had stopped working correctly. The red marks of her fingers angrily stung his face, but he didn't seem to notice. He stepped back, taking in her tangled hair, her ragged dress, her bloody and pitch-covered face, the mint stalk still hanging out the side of her mouth. You escaped from the castle, right? Are you all right? I did escape, she allowed. He waited. She continued to regard him silently. You don't remember me. He tried very hard not to sound hurt. I remembered a lot of things, she said. Too many things. None of it makes sense. I don't really remember you. Things are kind of confused. She hated sounding apologetic. The man had basically just assaulted her. Oh, well, that's all right, he said brightly. Even though I remember you and we completely did meet, even if you don't remember it, we were never properly introduced. So you can't remember my name, at least, because you never knew it. All right, she said slowly, despite her initial distrust, his glibness, his sunny smile, and she had to admit it, his general gorgeousness were melting her fairly quickly. His speech seemed genuine and completely free of nuance, unlike if Count Brodeur had been saying the same words. I'm Philip, Prince Philip. He executed a beautiful bow, but finished it with a boyish grin. She found herself smiling, unable to stop. I am Princess Aurora, she said with the slight curtsy of one member of royalty greeting another, or possibly Briar Rose, peasant and lady of the forest. It's a little confusing right now. No, that's actually beginning to make sense, Philip said with a thoughtful nod. Well, I'm glad it is for somebody, she cried dryly. I like Rose better, I think. Aurora implies something ethereal and unattainable, not like a beautiful, sweet-smelling flower. May I call you Rose? If you like. You could also call me Henry for all it really matters, she said, deciding to ignore the implications of unattainable. Also, there was the whole double meaning of plucking a rose, the verbal path down which Count Brodeur certainly would have gone. I don't like Henry so much. Doesn't roll off your tongue, the prince quipped. Aurora does, though. Aurora, Aurora, Aurora. Oh, maybe it doesn't. Why, when just moments ago she had been having a crisis over her very existence, torn between two lives she seemed to have led, was she suddenly being so ridiculous? This prince was completely distracting her. This prince whom she had caught hunting in her dream world. Why were you killing that deer? She demanded, recovering her anger. Killing? He asked, his eyes wide with confusion. I wasn't trying to kill it. I was trying to talk to it. You what? You. I was trying to rescue you in the castle. He pointed. She looked. She felt a moment's stinging disappointment. Here she was thinking she had wandered off into the wilds of the world, away from everyone, never to see another living human again. And there loomed the castle, just one ridge of trees away, covered in thick black vines and floating in a murky haze of dust. A little flock of blackbirds flew by in the foreground, not giving a whit about the strangeness of the scene or the plight of the humans captured within. There's some sort of fence keeping me out, though, he said, frowning. Thorns. They're called thorns, she said helpfully. No, besides that, he said with a gentle smile, I keep hacking at the vines and they grow back thicker. Then I remembered how close you were to the animals of the forest, and I thought maybe they could help. I was trying to talk to the deer. You were trying to talk to the deer to get it to help rescue me? She asked slowly, trying to make sure she understood correctly. Well, the prince stammered, suddenly flushing. I mean, it seemed like you could almost talk with the animals. They were all around you when I met you. All these wild animals very close to you. It didn't seem unreasonable. I don't know. I ran out of other options. Oh, you were... She was in danger of falling into hysterics. She could see that. She tried to control her laughter. She only half succeeded. Talking to No, that's sweet. The prince shrugged helplessly and smiled again. She felt herself warming to him. A person, a boy, who could laugh at himself, was instantly likable. Maleficent might have been many things, but self-deprecating wasn't one of them. All right, Prince Philip, she said. You were trying to rescue me. How did you know me before? I didn't know you, the boy said with a sigh. I loved you. We loved each other. We did? She blinked in surprise. He looked less hurt this time than frustrated. What's the last thing you remember? She shook her head. It's not like that. I just told you. I have too many memories. Why don't you tell me about us, starting from when we first met? We met once upon a. He stopped what he was saying suddenly and shook his head. I came upon you in a clearing deep in the woods. I was on my way to the castle. I was supposed to meet the princess I was going to marry for the first time. Meet, I mean, not marry for the first time. The whole thing was arranged when we were children. She stared at him hard. There was too much information in what he said. She had to untangle it from the beginning. That castle, she finally said, pointing at the vine-covered monstrosity that was now behind them. Yes, that castle. You were riding to that castle there. In the real world, yes, Philip said. To marry the princess of that castle, yes. Oh, she twisted a lock of hair around her finger, thinking, who was it? It was you, Philip said, exasperated, but I didn't know it at the time. You were the princess I was supposed to marry. But I wasn't in the castle. I was in the clearing when you met me. Yes, well, Philip said. Philip pushed his thick hair off of his forehead and managed to get in what seemed to be a very satisfying scratch of his scalp in the process. As I understand it, you were sent to live out in the woods to stay safe until your 16th year, at which time you would come back. You would come back to marry me. Aurora Rose examined the tendril of her hair she had been playing with. Her distant, unthought of goal had been to chew at the end of it, but now she didn't have the urge. Nothing in her life, real or dreamed, made any sense at all. Maybe let's go back to the part where we were in love. I met you in a clearing deep in the woods, Philip said eagerly. We fell in love instantly. That sounds nice. It didn't sound like her exactly, but it did sound nice. To be fair, most of her memories were still of her time in the Thorn Castle, which she had spent with the same people she had known since she was a baby. Falling in love instantly with someone you had seen grow up and use the same privies as you was not really possible. It is, he said, taking her hands in his. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. She looked up into his face. His clear brown eyes moved earnestly back and forth, trying to find some trace of recognition in her face. He was far more handsome than Cale, and to be the subject of this much attention and scrutiny from someone with his physique was more than a little pleasing, even if she didn't know who he was. Do you remember that song you were singing when we met? He whispered, pushing a dirty lock of hair from her face. The lullaby, Once Upon a Dream. Aurora Rose staggered back as if slapped. She did know that song. The lyrics cut through her memories like a hot knife. She put a hand to her head as flashing, two bright scenes sped before her eyes. Dappled forest, the woof of a horse, a boy, this boy, arriving out of the woods like a spirit. Large hands, but not rough. Clear brown eyes, gone soft because of her. Her stomach and heart flopping as she waited to be taken into his arms. Back in the present, the prince also had her in his arms, which was useful since she was about to collapse onto the ground again. It was also a little strange. She wasn't used to being held that closely by anyone, much less someone she hardly knew. His hands on her were strong but a little alien. His arms were muscled but unfamiliar. The heat of her skin against the heat of his skin against her wasn't unpleasant, just unexpected. She steadied herself, pushing him gently away. It was another odd thing to see this boy, so handsome, so well dressed, right in front of her after all her visions. It really was like she had dreamed him, and like a wish that had been granted, he appeared when she awoke. I think I remember something, she finally whispered. The happiness that flashed from his smile and glinted in his eyes was blinding. She flinched, not wanting to disappoint him by telling him how little she remembered or how getting to ride on this horse was at least equal to the part where they almost kissed. So you knew me when I lived with my aunts. The fairies, he cried with joy, startling her. He picked her up by the shoulders and swung her around. Of course, they helped me defeat the dragon. They could help us now. Fairies, she said, teetering a little as he set her down. Right, my aunts were fairies. I understand that now. Oh, I thought it said that was sarcasm. I thought it was supposed to be sarcasm. She put a hand to her head, just the way Aunt Flora used to when she felt exhausted or defeated by her young ward. I don't think I knew that then when I lived with them. You didn't know you lived with fairies? Philip asked, confused. He held her at arm's length to look her in the eye. No, she said, a little put out that he didn't believe her, and yes, that she had known it herself. How could she not have known it? I don't remember them doing much in the way of magic. Well, never mind that. All in the past. What we need to do now is get ourselves out of here and home to put an end to the Maleficent once and for all. The prince gave her shoulders a friendly squeeze before finally letting her go. The afternoon was soft and the light was golden. Philip was a handsome young man who seemed content just to be with her again, to now have a quest and a purpose and direction. His hair glinted in the sun like topaz. This was already better than the Thorn Castle or being alone and bored in the forest cottage. Wait, she said after a moment. There was a dragon? Once upon a time, as it really was, as told by the prince.
Oh.
So no more describing the prince's muscles. In a faraway land long ago lived a king and his fair queen. Many years had they longed for a child, and finally their wish was granted. A daughter was born, and they called her Aurora, for she filled their lives with sunshine. Then a great holiday was proclaimed throughout the kingdom, so that all of the high or low estate might pay homage to the infant princess. Good King Stefan and his queen Leah especially made welcome a neighboring king and lifelong friend, for on that day would they announce that Philip, his son and heir to Stefan's child, would be betrothed and thus unite the two kingdoms forever. And so the young prince looked unknowingly on his infant future bride. Also invited to this happy occasion were the good fairies, Flora, who blessed the princess with beauty and grace, and Fauna, who gave her the gift of song. But before the third good fairy, Merryweather, could bestow her gift, the evil fairy Maleficent appeared, angry she had not been invited to the happy occasion. She too gave a gift, but it was a terrible curse. Before the sun set on Aurora's 16th birthday, she would prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die. The king and queen were deeply grieved by this, but all was not lost, for the good fairy Merryweather still had her gift to give. She said, "Sweet princess, if through this wicked witch's trick a spindle should your finger prick, a ray of hope there still may be in this, the gift I give to thee. Not in death, but just in sleep, the fateful prophecy you'll keep. And from this slumber you shall wake, when true love's kiss the spell shall break." King Stefan, still fearful for his daughter's life, did then and there decree that every spinning wheel in the kingdom should on that day be burnt, and so it was done. To further protect the king's beloved daughter from evil mischief, the good fairies suggested that they raise Aurora in secret and safety, disguised as peasants, in the middle of the woods, far away from everyone. So the king and queen watched with heavy hearts as their most precious possession, their only child, disappeared into the night. And so for 16 long years, the whereabouts of the princess remained a mystery, while deep in the forest in a woodcutter's cottage, the good fairies carried out their well-laid plan. Living like mortals, they reared the child as their own and called her Briar Rose. One day, many years later, Briar Rose was singing and playing with her animal friends in the woods when a handsome young man came wandering through the forest lost. It was Prince Philip. On his way to marry the princess he had been betrothed to 16 years earlier, Aurora herself. But upon seeing this beautiful maiden, all thoughts of marrying royalty disappeared. Philip fell madly in love with Briar Rose, and although she too was instantly smitten, the shy girl scampered away like the very deer she befriended. She did promise, however, to meet him again that night. Alas for poor Briar Rose, that was also the night of her 16th birthday, the night she was to be returned to the castle. Her sorrowful aunts revealed the truth of who they were and who she was, and how she would marry the prince at the neighboring kingdom on the morrow. At the castle, weeping and alone in her new gown and tiara, the Princess Aurora fell victim to the spell cast by the evil Maleficent. She followed the evil fairy's voice through a secret door and found an enchanted spinning wheel, the last one left in the kingdom. Compelled by Maleficent, Aurora reached out and pricked her finger on its spindle. Immediately, she fell into a deep, death-like sleep. The three good fairies then put everyone in the kingdom to sleep, so that upon awakening, Aurora wouldn't feel strange and alone. Just before falling under the fairy's spell, Philip's father revealed to King Stefan how his son had unfortunately fallen in love with a peasant girl and intended to marry her. The three fairies instantly realized what this meant. that Prince Philip was Aurora's one true love and could break the spell that held her. They raced back to their cottage in the woods where Philip was to meet Briar Rose. Unfortunately, the ever-scheming Maleficent had arrived there first and grabbed the prince, throwing him into her deepest dungeon. Using stealth and magic, the three fairies good managed to free the prince. With the help of an ensorcelled shield and sword, Philip defeated the evil Maleficent once and for all, even after she turned herself into a sulphurous, fire-breathing dragon. The three fairies then led the victorious prince to the chamber where Aurora slept. Upon seeing his beautiful Briar Rose, Prince Philip knelt at her side and immediately gave her a true love's kiss. Princess Aurora woke, saw the prince, and was overjoyed. The two were married the next day to the rejoicing of all and lived happily ever after. This is a very confusing book. I do not like the way this flows at all. I'm just being honest. This one is nothing like the first one.
That would have made more sense if it had ended with him falling asleep when he went to kiss her. Like supposedly,
it made a lot of sleep. Look, they keep jumping all over the place. This is choppy. They repeat the same thing with different words. I'm not happy with this one at all. I think this is very poor writing in my mind. I'm just being honest.
Yeah,
this one is not like the first one at all. This one is very, very disjointed. Oh no, we're not even, we're 30% through the book.
Yes. Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense to put that passage in there at all, except to fill words on a page that you have a longer book.
It was written, but no, this was written before AI actually. So
it was written by Liz Braswell, who did the first one.
Yeah.
This one's just not this one's not great.
Snickerdoodle agrees with you.
It's so disjointed, and there's no flow to it whatsoever. Even in the beginning,
I thought we had kind of settled into a flow, and then that chapter
So just when you finally get somewhere, after all the confusion at the beginning and everything else that's going on, when we finally get somewhere, we finally think we know what's going on. It's just poor writing again, in my opinion.
Why do we retell the original story
in the middle of that? It doesn't. And it says, as told by Prince Philip. Well, all that stuff I just read was when Prince Philip was gone somewhere.
Right.
So it wasn't as told by him.
I don't know.
So I don't know.
Spaceship Ears, welcome in. Yeah. I don't understand this one. Like I said, I thought for sure that chapter that you just read would end with him kissing the princess, him falling asleep, everyone asleep, and that lead us to his version of the events up until this moment. But no, that's the original story we just forgot.
We're gonna get to a good point. We're gonna get to a good story at the end. We're gonna get to this is what happened type moment. But the writing to get us there is not great, in my opinion. I think it's very I can't think of a better word than disjointed. It doesn't flow. It does not flow at all. You could take a lot of this and reorganize it in different order, and it would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
There are like 8 or so authors. She writes a lot of the beginning ones. She did a bunch of them, and she did Aladdin. She did The Whole New World, which is great.
Which was awesome.
This one's not good. Not good flowing, I guess I should say. I don't want to say it's not a good book yet, because we don't know how it ends. But she's not only using I think she's using bad descriptive words, but she's repeating herself. I don't know how many times she talked about the prince's hair or the prince's muscles in that thing, but it's the exact same thing over and over and over again. And there was a lot in there that we don't need. We didn't need to hear. Doesn't add to the story, other than it makes the book longer, and that's it.
I'm hoping later it does make sense. It's just very discombobulated, disjointed right now. If you take the whole
beginning that we've read so far, it was all choppy in the beginning. We did get to where we thought we knew it was going to happen, but it still doesn't mean it was written well. Yeah. And I think that's what the case is. We're going to get to a point eventually, but I don't think it's written well, which is shocking because she did such a good job with the first one.
No, Nicole, it's about 4 or 5 different authors that end up doing the whole series, but Liz Broswell does
She has
many
a
of
lot
them.
of them. Yeah. All
Um,
right, let me see here. I mean, I'm frustrated because it's not. This could have been just reorganized a lot better.
but I keep thinking in my own mind back to, I mean, Sleeping Beauty, while it is a classic, it's not one of my favorites.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's one of my least favorite classics. I mean, I love the characters. Did not enjoy. It's not one that I go back and rewatch. And when I think about it, I'm like, okay, it's got one of the most recognizable, iconic villains of all time.
Yeah.
I love the Maleficent movies. I love it. It just, I don't know. I can't. Something's off.
I'd say Once Upon a Dream is it's a famous Disney song, but it's not When You Wish Upon a Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's anyway.
Yep.
That last chapter just threw me completely because I honestly thought we were on a path and we were heading down getting his version of the events that led up until right now, but that was a completely retelling of the original story.
Yeah.
I don't get that. So
that makes absolutely no sense to put it where it was. So next week it looks like 3 chapters. You'll do 2 that one of them's only 3 pages long.
Oh, okay.
And then that'll put us right there within a page of each other. The same thing, about the same what we read today.
So I'll do 2 chapters. You'll do 1.
Yeah, I'll read. You'll read. What's yours called?
The Denouement.
Yeah, you'll read the Denouement, and you will read.
Meanwhile, back at the castle.
Meanwhile, back at the castle, and then I'll read Feeling. What's that say? Ravenous. It's about a 21 page or so chapter. That one is, and the other ones are like 17 and 3 or 4, so 18, something like that.
We did 4 chapters tonight, Stacy.
Yeah, so we finished on Once Upon a Dream as told by the Prince. Let me see what it was called.
I don't know that this one actually has like per se chapters.
Yeah. It's called Once Upon a Time as It Really Was, as told by the Prince. If you're following along in the actual book, it's we made it to page number 142.
142.
So that's where we finished.
Debbie Bernfeld, just to add to the reading train, I love listening to you two read. Thank you, Debbie.
That's very kind of you.
I appreciate that. I was shocked during the first book that y'all enjoyed this as much, but I'll be honest, I really enjoy this myself.
We enjoy it a lot. And these are good books. That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
Just think we have 16 or 17 of these we get to do. And I don't think we should do anything else but these until we're done with them. So
I kind of agree with that. I mean, we're going to end up with a few of these like this that we may not love.
Yeah.
But you're going to get some of those in every book series.
Yep.
But on the whole, I like this premise, and I like different tellings of stories that we know.
And we still don't know if they're all going to be happy endings like we get in the movies, or if they're going to be a little twisted and something else happens.
So I'm glad y'all are enjoying it. Like I said, I had a bit of a headache today, but I enjoy reading these books and hanging out with Steve and all of y'all. So I didn't want to. He's like, we can just call it off tonight and chill if you. I was like, no, I kind of want to read some books. So
I like progressing in the books too. It's hard for me not to pick this up and continue reading. So no, it's good. It's good. I'm enjoying the books. It started out as a book club. We were supposed to read some chapters. Everybody's going to come together and discuss it. And then I don't know. I was like, why don't we just read it? And we did. It turned into this. So it's pretty good.
So
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Yep.
I got a package to open.
You do. And I want to see what's in your package.
It's a little.
That sounds weird.
Yeah, I know. So we got a little bent corner, and this little corner over here was a little. That one was a little that. So she's worried that it came from Sparkly Pink Diamonds.
I'm going to leave you full screen so we can see it if that's okay.
What's that?
I'm going to leave you full screen so we can see.
That's fine. I'm got the. Okay, I can cover this up because I don't know if this is her address or not. But it was written to Steve of the Worlds. I'm going to rip this thing open and see what it looks like.
Molly said,
Yes,
show
Molly.
us your package, Steve.
Done. Let's see what's inside.
It is 2 Purple.
Ooh. It looks super cool. Oh my gosh. That's amazing because it's definitely one of my top, if not the top. It's perfectly fine, by the way, Angie. Look at this.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's on the I See the Light
Yeah.
sheet music. That
I
is
like-
super cool. They put it in a protective thing. So,
Yeah.
I'll take it out of that and frame that. That's amazing. That is so cool. Thank
That
you
is really
so much. It's not messed up at all. The corner here is just a little bit, but I'll flatten that back out when I get in the frame.
I was
They
about to
put
say,
it-
once you frame it,
This is a very, very thick. Let me see here.
page protector.
Yeah, and it's printed on very high quality photo paper too. So like, yeah, see,
Nice.
it's not bad at all. Just a small difference, but that will come out. It's not creased. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
The bottom one has just like I said, a little bitty, just right there, just a little bitty. You can't even see it on there, right there. See that
He
little
says
line?
it should have a gift note in there.
Um,
Space Mountain Dave, welcome in, Dave.
it does not have
Nothing.
anything in there. Let's see if it says anything on here. There's no
I
notes.
like it. I've seen a couple of different versions of that, Steve, and I really like the sun pattern with that.
I do too. It's got Aurora right in the middle of it.
Yeah, Rapunzel.
Yeah. I got this thing for this is one of my favorite movies. Flynn Rider's my favorite character. You know, I like to send memes about Flynn and get Rapunzel
I
memes
like
back
that.
in return. That is super cool.
Space Mountain
Wow.
Dave, welcome in.
Thank you so much.
That's a nice one, Angie.
Yeah, and I gotta get a frame for. I think this is actually looks like 8.5 by 11 exactly, but I want to make sure. Molly,
Handy dandy tape measure.
11. Yeah, I'm
Dave
gonna, put-
Stragand,
I'm
welcome in.
gonna get a frame for this tomorrow. Yep, it's exactly 8.5 by 11.
Nice.
So, yeah,
It
that
should be
is.
easy to find a frame, maybe even a matted frame for too.
Yeah, I actually have one here, but I don't really want to take stuff out of other frames.
Yeah,
But I'll get one tomorrow.
that's awesome.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Um,
How I want more of these.
that's cool. Bonnie
This
D,
is
welcome in. It says the very first souvenir I bought from Walt Disney World was a Disney piano book in '91. I still have it in play from it. That's cool.
Nice. I have some Disney piano books. I never took lessons for like, I don't know, 6 weeks. Taught myself how to play a little bit. I have to memorize. I could play this on other instruments,
Yeah,
but if I was to play it on a piano, I have to memorize it.
yeah.
So yeah, I'll probably get a larger the mat, the
Yeah.
matting. I'll probably have it done at Hobby Lobby. Just nice.
Yeah, get like an 11 by 14 frame so that you get a little mat in there.
Yeah, a little color, maybe some purple. But,
I'll check that, Stacy. Thank you.
that's super. Man, that's cool.
That's awesome. I like that.
But they did do a good job. I mean, I know you're worried about the packaging. They got a really, really nice thick sleeve here. So it's bent up pretty good. The package is bent up pretty good. I mean, you can see right there, like the corner is all but
Yeah.
it did not affect this at all.
The shipping. And all.
And they did put it in a high quality sheet protector. This is a very thick mil, probably 5 mil sheet protector.
She says she sent the note to you on Instagram.
Thank you.
Good night, Jennifer Crusoe. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out and for the super chat. Have a good night. Have a good day at Disney tomorrow. That's awesome.
Can I read that? I'm assuming I can read it.
Let us know if he can read it out.
Oh, wow. They show a picture of it there, and it's in a matted frame already with it's got a white thick matted frame around it with the black. It's got a black frame with white thick white mat, and then the picture's a little recessed. She said, "Happy birthday, pretty princess." I know this is one of your favorite songs. I hope you love it. I do so much.
That's awesome.
That is so cool.
That's awesome.
You know, I might flirt with some of these, like try to make some of these. I have photo paper. I have tons of photo paper, and I got a high quality printer. That would be so cool to have.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
But it'd be a Photoshop thing. Yeah, she put pretty princess. Makes me feel special. Oh, it's great. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Wonder.
Sweet.
See, I have a frame right here that T. Marie sent me.
Yeah.
In one of her photos. That might be the perfect size. It is 17 and a half by about 14. So that would be perfect to have that in there with a matted around it. So
yeah. Awesome.
So yeah. I got about an hour left if you want to do something. I don't care.
He says, wait, he's not taking your picture out, Tina. Don't worry.
No. I'm not taking, no. I'm saying I've got the only thing hanging on my wall besides that right there is the picture that Tina sent me of the castle and the partner statue in a nice frame and everything. And it's sitting right there.
Nope.
Oh no, your picture. Well, here. I just got to take the picture. My best friend from home, his kids are in here. I got to take them out. So they call me Uncle Steve. So there it is. It's the only thing that hangs on the wall on 2 thumbtacks. Well, now I got to put it over here because I'll never get it back up there without getting it out. So I can put their pictures back in it real quick. Oops. But yeah, that's it.
Sparkly Pink has her pictures from Tina up too.
I actually have the ones I have in storage, Tina, are the ones of the Floating Mountains of Pandora that you got me for my birthday 4 years ago, I think it was.
That was a good one too.
Those are gorgeous, but they are in storage. I didn't let that one go to storage though.
Well, so
yeah, guys, Tina does great work with photos. You should go check them out on wherever she has them.
Etsy, Tina, drop your Etsy link if you still have pictures out there, or where people can order pictures from.
Yeah, I thought it was a 17 by 14 frame photo of Tina. I was gonna say. No, but look, I was using it as a reference guide because if you take this, and you put it inside here, it would have a pretty good mat around it. Which way is it going to go? That way. So it would look good in there with that, about that size of matting around it. I can't hold it straight. Sorry.
I think you need to go a little bit wider though, Steve. I do think
it needs to be a little wider.
Yeah. To get an equal portion of mat on sides and top.
Which means if this is 8.5 by 11, we go to a 17. That means we need to be 17 by 14 is equal. It's 3-inch all around. That would be it.
Thank you, Tina.
There it is.
TMariePhotography.com. That's where you can go to find Tina pictures.
And listen, somewhere out there, there's a great picture of the Millennium Falcon because I was there when Tina was laying on the ground taking it. One of the first times I ever met her. She's laying down on the ground taking pictures of the Millennium Falcon.
Let's go. T. Marie Photography.
Yeah, see what she's got. Let's pull it up. Man, that's so cool. Just the picture too. Look at the lanterns with the sunburst with the lanterns and everything in the background.
That's there you go.
Well, that doesn't look like what I got.
No. But you go here.
She does weddings and stuff too. So
yeah.
She doesn't have her Disney photos up there, but if you want to see them, they're over there.
Okay. So that's here at the landscape. You can view the gallery.
No, she said she has a landscape section too. She said you got to go to click on the other link she sent to get to the Disney pictures. I love the landscape ones. Those are all. Look at the beaches there.
Tina does good pictures. Look at that. I mean,
yeah.
That
would look cool on a wall somewhere.
Yeah. Tina got some skills.
Yeah. Chris, you got a thing.
Oh, Spencer and fam. Deposit for Steve's art. Kungaloosh, y'all.
Kungaloosh.
Thank you, Spencer and fam. He says a lot of Boston and Newport, Rhode Island. Well, a lot of pretty is what I'd say.
Yep.
We meant to turn it on you, Tina.
What?
She said, "Wait, how did this get turned on me? I didn't mean for this to happen." You know? Bring up artwork. There you go.
Now I pulled it off the wall to show it. Might as well show it in the right way.
Yep. So,
oh, it was not in that way. It was in this way. Get back in
there. There you go.
That's so cool.
I like that. What are we doing tomorrow night on this and that, Steve?
Picking teams.
Oh, picking
teams. I think. That's what you want to see the thumbnail?
Yeah.
I got it created. I haven't done anything yet.
I haven't posted it yet.
Oh, wait. I can't invite. That's the invite button. I don't want that. I guess I better open it first before. Well, it's full screen.
Hey, Steve, your double Lego points in tomorrow.
There it is.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. I like it. But anyways.
Mark says, pigging teens. I think I need a hearing aid.
Oh, we're not pigging teens. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't sound good.
I'll be Rebecca. Welcome in. Good to see you. Let's see. Spaceship here says, did you hear about the people who left Small World in Disneyland Paris? They just got out of the boat mid-ride. That doesn't surprise me. It seems like it happens.
Those are idiots that ruin it for the rest of us. Sarah!
Sarah!
I saw Sarah last night.
You sure did. Hope you're still having fun, Sarah. I was pulling up. Let's go here. Let's go. There was a couple of things I wanted to, or
I got
one thing
this
at least I wanted
Chris,
to.
too.
Huh?
I also got this.
Oh yeah,
Coastal Adventures Space Mountain.
I like that. There's a new Lego set coming out that I'm interested in for some reason. She said she is having fun. Good. Glad you are.
Awesome.
Sparkly Pink's excited for teams. Debbie says, "Yep, yippee! I need to have my team started." This is the red London telephone box Lego set.
That's cool.
Coming out February the 4th, 1,460 pieces.
Jeez, how big is that thing?
This is oh, it lights up too. That's cool. Where is our size?
Oh wow, that's actually pretty decent size.
It is. Let's scroll down here. 12 inches tall, 7.5 inches wide, and 6 inches deep.
Not bad.
Oh, see, this dude's got it for a phone stand. He put his phone inside there, beside the phone booth.
Is that what it's built for?
Huh?
Is that what it's for, or no?
I don't think so, but
I mean, clearly you can.
clearly you can. It's got the two little like posts there that would hold it, so that's kind of cool. I don't know why I like that one. I think that's a cool set. That one comes out February 4th.
Yeah, that's cool.
Of course, you got the Stitch and the Groot and the
Groot in the
Spider-Man
toilet.
brickheads. Do what?
Groot in a toilet.
Groot's in a toilet. It's potted Groot, but it looks like Groot in a toilet.
Mm-hmm. Yes, potty Groot is what you said.
Potty Groot. Comes out February the 1st as well. So, yep. And then there's your Sonic Hedgehog, Knuckles, and Shadow.
Yeah. Oh, I want so many, but I'm not gonna buy any. Willpower.
Yeah.
Got too many to do. Too many puzzles. Too many other stuffs.
Too many other stuffs. This is you also have the larger Stitch.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
It looks better when his ears are down.
I would say if you put his ears down, it doesn't look terrible.
Yeah. But I like the Brickhead better, I think.
Yep, 100%.
Anyway, that's it. Also heard Gillian Anderson join the cast of Tron 3. Interesting.
Nice. I love when they take movies and one of them's done and then 20 years later they redo it, or like not redo it, but add to it with the same cast. It's got to be the same cast though.
Yeah. I was hoping we would get more a continuation of Tron 2 because I really liked that storyline and where they were going with the Olivia Wilde character.
Yep.
But this is sounding like it may be a different story. So I don't know.
As long as Garrett Hedlund is in it, that's all that matters. Oh, and I guess Jeff Bridges or whatever.
Jeff Bridges.
But Garrett Hedlund did such a good job in that movie.
Yeah.
Chris, Garrett Hedlund has got such a wide range, not only of just acting ability and what his parts he's played, but his physical appearance in those as well. He was in that Georgia Rules thing. I don't even remember what it was called. When he had like really long hair. Then he went to he went to a gangster movie where he shaved all that hair off and played like a gang leader. And it was crazy. And then he goes to Tron and looks the way he does in Tron. And like sometimes you can't even recognize him in his different appearances.
He was in Troy.
Yes. He played the nephew Achilles, or not Achilles, whatever his name was, the kid of Brad Pitt, the nephew.
Yes.
Whatever.
It was Achilles.
It was Achilles?
Yeah.
Okay, it was Achilles.
Yeah. That was I liked that movie.
It's a good movie. We need to add some of those to our movie list coming up, but I think what we need to add to, just for my sake, Chris, is I want to. You haven't seen Code 8 yet.
I have not,
and it's very good. I started rewatching it again. I thought, you know what, this would be a great one to watch on thing to get your opinion of it, because number 2 comes out February 28th. I think we should watch them on our stream.
Stephen and Robbie ML.
Yeah, it's got both the cousins. It's got Arrow and Firestorm, but they don't play those. It's kind of weird because they have magic. They have powers that can move things and do things and weld with their fingers and stuff like that. And then they're all under regulation from the government. It's really cool. It's a good movie.
On Netflix, we can add that one. That looks good. Spaceship Ears said he was surprisingly good. I did like him in Tron Legacy. I thought he played that one really well. God, that soundtrack. Love that soundtrack.
What soundtrack?
Tron Legacy.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Not to change the subject from what everybody here likes, but did you see the Milwaukee Bucks fired their coach today?
I did not.
Did you see what their record was?
No.
30-13. 30 wins, 13 losses, in second place in the entire Eastern Conference, and they fired him.
I was about to say, weren't they in the playoffs last year?
This is his first year coaching. For whatever reason, he's winning, and they didn't like it.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, here's one, Steve, that was recommended when I was pulling up Tron Legacy. Did you ever see this is a Tom Cruise movie, Oblivion?
Yes.
Tom Cruise, Morgan Freeman.
Yep. It's been a while, but yes.
That's one that I like to watch that movie every once in a while. I don't know what it is about that one.
Good.
But it's a good one. One of those kind of dystopian future top movies.
Yeah. Rumor is Doc Rivers may be going to them, but
really,
yeah. Anyways, Gary.
Pete was doing basketball game the other night, Steve, and I know nothing of the current NBA.
Me either.
So I sent him emojis of Dennis Rodman, Charles Barkley, and Larry Bird. So
trying to see where there it is finally.
I had heard that the Daisy Ridley continuing Star Wars movies had been put on hold. Naked and still not happy. Yes, they were shirtless. I wasn't going to add that, but sure, yeah, I had all three of them shirtless.
Oh man, shirtless in their prime or shirtless now?
I went with their prime. I didn't do that to him. So
that would have been so much funnier.
Pete's going to start doing Monday Night Raw this Monday. Interesting. Those would be easy to get shirtless emojis for. See if I can find some Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Dusty Rhodes emojis. So I don't even remember what I was going to say. I'm lost now. Yeah. I think we're going to call it a night. We could do some puzzle building, but I'll be honest, I don't know that my headache's up for puzzle building tonight.
Yeah, I should be in bed.
I appreciate everybody hanging out. Be sure to check out Tina, since you're still in chat. Are you going live tomorrow at 5? And Joy will be on tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and then this and that tomorrow night, 9 o'clock.
True.
Wendy B. Hey,
Hello, Wendy.
Are you having fun, Wendy?
Are you probably not having fun anymore? Tomorrow's the day.
Oh, is tomorrow the day?
Yeah.
Well.
No, what's today? Tuesday. Oh no, Thursday's the day. Never mind. Sorry, she got one more day.
She got one more day.
Go, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy and Rebecca. Thank y'all. And Debbie. Thanks. Yeah, I'll feed the fish. They're purple fish tonight. I decided to go with purple fish tonight. I don't know why, but
they look neon.
They kind of do look neon. So, just Noah, howdy, and thank you, my Katie and Lassie. What was I going to say? I think today's the last day of the event in Dreamlight Valley too, Steve. I got that done.
Yeah, good.
But anyway, I hope everybody has a good night. We'll see you in the streams tomorrow with all of the friends, and I got my fingers crossed that I end up on Steve's team tomorrow night.
Doesn't look like your fingers crossed. Looks like you're doing this. Oh, they are crossed. Never mind. I'm sorry.
So
the angle was a little sideways.
A little sideways.
Yeah. I believe it's a blind draw. I don't think it's not like a. I don't think it's like a dodgeball pick'em type thing. I could be wrong though. It's not my doing. So I'll have to call. I have to figure that out. But I think it's a blind draw.
Spinny wheel or something.
Something.
Yeah. Appreciate everybody.
Wheel. Yeah, it is a spinning wheel. I told Dave was supposed to send me the list so I could create the spinning wheel, and then from there we're gonna push the button so everybody can see who's on the teams.
There you go. Hope everybody has a good night. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Wendy and Sarah P. Hope y'all have another good day tomorrow. Rest those dogs tonight. I'm sure they're barking after another long day at the park. But yeah, Jay Nashville, you can on the This and That Discord is where you can sign up for it. Is it too late to sign up, Steve?
No, sign up before tomorrow.
Before tomorrow night. So thank you all for the super chats. Tina, Jeff Condon, Debbie Burnfeld, Jennifer Caruso, Monorail Molly, Jason Thibodeau. If I missed anybody, I'm so sorry, but that was the ones right off the top of my head. Well, actually, I can go here and it'll show Yes, Davey Burnfield, Jeff Collins, Jason, Monroe, and Spencer and fam. Thank you all so much. A million blessings on each of you. I don't know. But bless you. Thank you. I hope you all have a good night. And I'm going to go to bed. And we'll see you.
It's my new art project.
Your mouse.
It's my new art project.
See y'all tomorrow night. Love you all. Take care.
Prick your finger on the needle. Go ahead, wave, do your thing.
I will do it anyway. Love y'all. See you. Bye. Toodle.